Hello, YouTube. Okay, so I guess this is going to be another one of those, what did your job teach you? And I wasn't going to do this one for a while. I was actually planning on waiting until after I moved and doing the bartending and doing just a few tricks on how to get a good pour and stuff like that. But I read something and it made me go, really? It was talking about somebody who was at checkout at a store and had been rude to that person, and they're like, and had made them look foolish, I guess, and they're like, I'll remember that when I'm your nurse, and you want prompt and polite care. And I mean, I'm not gonna knock, I mean, I'm just an EMT and everything, and she's like an LPN, so, I mean, if you're in the medical field, you kind of know the whole hierarchy. I mean, it's really hilarious to see it from my view, because I think everybody has their niche and everybody has, something worthwhile that they are doing. But, EMTs look down on CNAs, paramedics look down on nurses, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's just this whole kind of hierarchy. We all work together, we all like each other and everything. But, paramedics are like, oh, drug pushers, and that's just, I'm not that. I'm just an EMT, but the jokes. There's jokes. And that's all it is. It's jokes. It's not out of anger or dislike or anything. It's kind of like how most military branches make fun of each other. They still will all work together, but they make fun of each other. So anyway, so I guess I'm going to do, and this is going to be long warning, long rant, it's a hand. Okay, sorry. What my job taught me in home health. Now, I did it for a year. I would still be doing it if I wasn't going to be traversing elsewhere, and I'll still be within the field. This job, to me, I loved. I loved doing it. I miss my patients. I miss them so much. I enjoyed it. I mean, now don't get me wrong. I was overworked. I was underpaid. I was tired. I mean, it wasn't until after I wasn't doing my job that I went back to, being up at 2 a.m. and going to bed going to bed around 2 in the morning and waking up at 9. I was asleep at 10. Sometimes if I got home early, I'd end up taking a nap. I still haven't eaten yet, so I'm really hungry. But anyways, that doesn't matter. No plastic in ovens. Yeah, it was tiring, but I absolutely loved the job. The satisfaction of helping people is just amazing. These people, most of what I worked with were geriatrics. I did have some quads and everything. And I mean, don't get me wrong. There are people that will drive you insane. You will possibly get sexually harassed. Some people, they might try to hit you, and that's not okay. You should take tactical defense classes. I had to take it as an EMT. I absolutely loved it. It taught me how to counteract an attack, and it doesn't, and there were degrees because you counteract with what you're being given. The energy that is given towards you is the energy that you counteract with back and everything. And so there was smaller degrees to greater degrees, and it just taught you how to get out and go, which was wonderful. I really, I think everybody in the medical field should have to do that, because a lot of us get beat up when you hear about it, and that's not acceptable. That shouldn't just be oh, well, it's part of the job. That's not the way it should be and everything, and everybody should learn that, and there should be respect. But I mean, there will be those days, and there will be those people. There will be, the drunks that just want, that's it. They're just drunk. They're not doing any harm to them or themselves or anybody else. And they're going to be a pain, vomit all over the place, but you still have to care for them. Perhaps it's my nature. My nature isn't a violent nature, even though you've heard angry rants from me going, oh, smash that person's face, which they apologized, and I felt much better. That was lovely. And I'm thankful for that. That's great. That comes at a better understanding. Done. No longer angry. That's great. My stuff should be where it's supposed to be. I miss it. I miss my mighty cobalt, and I'm so hungry. I have nothing to cook with. Anyways, the job taught me patience, is what I'm saying. I'm telling you, I can't concentrate without food. The job taught me patience. You should be a patient person. I mean, people take time, and you should be able to work hard and do your job, but it's a wide range. I mean, these people need everything from, baths, personal care, nail clipping, to just sitting there and talking with them, helping them cook, doing food, wrapping wounds. I mean, there's just a really wide variety of what you're doing. Catheter care, bowel care, different things. If they're rude to you, you don't be rude back. I mean, that's not what people need. You never know if that person was having a bad day. People have bad days. Or in pain. I had one patient which was just a peach, and then I noticed after a while they were getting really kind of nitpicky and kind of upset and this kind of stuff. And so I tried harder to make them happy and everything. It was a little, it was frustrating. I'm like, nobody's going to, I would think you get some other people and they're probably not going to go beyond and above like I was doing and everything. But I kept it in. I didn't show that. I just smiled and everything. I'd come home and I'd be exhausted and I'd be a little frustrated. And then come to find out they had an infection and they felt terrible. I was like, well, no wonder. They ended up in the hospital for like a couple months. And I'm like, well, no wonder they weren't in a good mood. I'd be in a bad mood if I had that much pain too. So, I mean, because I didn't get short, I didn't, get huffy, I didn't, reply back in a mean manner, I kept nice, they loved that. I mean, they're like, oh, I feel so much better. I was, that was the end of it. I had nothing ever brought up about the, shortness that they were going through. Some people just are having bad days, or they're in pain, or they're hungry. I get mad when I'm hungry. I just vacuumed a wall because there was cat hair on it, and I'm hungry. I'm not going to stop that. So I just think it's silly for somebody who's going to be who is in a medical field. I don't think they're working right now, but to, say that they're not going to give a person, if they ever have to treat them, they're not going to give them good service. Well, first of all, you cannot deny a person's service no matter what, because it's a violation of ethics. But second of all, why are you going to give them bad service? What? That's what the world needs to perpetuate? Warning, this is going to sound like a hippie thing, but I mean, that's what we need. Rudeness to perpetuate rudeness to perpetuate rudeness. We need it to just continue. No. You take somebody and you help them. And you help them in a courteous manner and with a smile. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I've had sexual harassment type of issues going on, grabbing and bad comments. And I didn't reply back what I typically reply back in a different field where, you can have a little bit of less professionalism and you can be an ass to somebody. I just replied back that was highly inappropriate, that I was their caregiver, I was taking care of them, and I was uncomfortable with those comments, stuff like that. And of course I wrote down and reported it, because that's your friend is writing and reporting everything. But, I mean, you don't get snappy. I mean, I would huff and I would puff after I left, like with the sexual harassment. I'm like, oh, I'll sexually harass you with a but I didn't do that when I was there. I just, and you have to stay professional. That's highly inappropriate. I'm not, they tried to grab, and luckily because of this tactical defense, I countered, just redirected the hands, because that wasn't appropriate. It was simple as that. I didn't and you keep your professionalism going. You go, I am taking care of you. I'm your caregiver. This is a professional thing. This is not, sexual in any way, shape, or form, anything like that, You just redirect the energy. You don't get short. You don't get huffy. It's silly. It is so silly to me for somebody, I got hair in my face, to think that they have, to be rude. You looked at me hateful. You never know. That person could have had like a family member in the hospital, and perhaps you did something that was rude that you didn't even recognize or anything like that. Everybody has bad days. Everybody has bad things going on. And yes, they should maintain a level of professionalism in the work field. That's just the way it is. I mean, working in a theater, I had a woman chew me out up and down over a piece of trash I didn't see and pick up because we were patrolling in a place where I didn't even have any authority, because the theater was our authority and it was outside of the theater. And I just said, my eye's itching. I was just like, I'm sorry, ma'am. I did not see it. Thank you for informing me. And she wrote a complaint letter after she had left, because I'm sure she was one of the people we told to not have food and trash in the theater when there were 50 million signs around. But I didn't get huffy. I didn't get mad. And and I didn't even mind that it was sent to, the boss, because I got tons of emails from tons of other people I worked with that were like, she was so helpful, she was so courteous, she was so polite, she went above and beyond. Because that's what I try and do. I try and make sure that I give a great amount, even to people who drive me insane. You still have to give them the correct amount of care. It's your job. It's your job. So yes, that's what I learned working in the health field, and it was so wonderful, and I miss my patients. And you will hear awesome stories. And I mean, I had a woman who was over 100 and had family members and like everything. It's just amazing people. They're so, even when they're having their aches and pains, they're like, oh, I hate to complain. And it's like, hey, it's okay. You're feeling pain. You have every right to complain. It's happy to be able to do something wonderful for these people. And, I had one person who loved the History Channel, and after I got everything done, we would sit down and we would watch the History Channel, and we'd make comments and back and forth and talk about things like their trip to Ireland and things like that. These are wonderful people. Everybody has, and yes, some people are just assholes and dicks. Okay, let them enjoy their miserable life. You shouldn't continue being an asshole and dick. It just makes your life miserable and everybody around you miserable. If that person wants to be a dick, good for them. Let's see how far that gets them in life, and that can get them pretty far if they have maybe money to buy people. But other than that, they're probably not going to be extremely happy because they won't have that many close friends. They won't have that many people to trust them. While you're going to be surrounded by a good amount of decent people. I have a list of people I consider to be wonderfully amazing friends, and I think and I hope they will say it's because I have a warm personality and I try and be nice. And don't get me wrong, I'm a master in sarcasm, but it happens. Anyway, so yes, I'm going to stop my rant. It's because I'm hungry. Have you mentioned I'm hungry? My stomach says, feed me, I'm so hungry. Hungry stomach. Eat phone.